Chet Holmgren, and I'm down to dunk.
This is AJ Mitchell, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Alex Crusoe, and I'm down to dunk.
It's like baby bottle pop. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is Adam Flagler, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, it's Isaiah Hartenstein, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Cason Wallace, and I'm down to dunk.
I can't spell Lucas. Hey, how do you spell Lucas? How do you spell Lucas?
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Nikola Topic, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Dylan Jones, and I'm down to dunk. This is Isaiah Joe, and I'm down to dunk.
And there's probably like 50 to 75 Beanie Babies.
Give me like your top 3 Pokemon.
Bro, I can't even name.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
Sometimes the way his brain works is it leaves a lot to be desired.
This is Kenrich Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
Charmander.
Yeah.
Charmander. Or you're more of a Charmeleon guy.
Charmeleon.
This is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
Schlecht. You know what it means? Yeah.
That means like bad.
It means bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Well, it was a good interview, so it wasn't bad.
J-Dub, year 3, and I'm down to dunk for the 3rd time. Thank you.
Ooh, welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, I can't even remember the last time we did an early Monday pod, but it's Michele Berra from his car. Michele, what's up?
Well, it's a very good setting. I'm under a tree. Lunch break. It's extremely hot. I'm not sure how the audio will work, but this is podcasting when you're 40 and you have like a very busy job during the day.
Yeah. You sound great. Honestly, it sounds great.
Good.
You don't need to worry about that. Also, if you don't want to worry about your car or your home, you should check out Aaron and Drew Reese at Shelter Insurance. It's funny because the way that I have the lower thirds on YouTube, it looks like I'm being labeled as Aaron and you're being labeled as Drew.
Mm-hmm.
People have pointed that out to me. I think it's very funny, and I won't be changing it.
Yeah, listen, I'm fine with Drew. It's nice.
It's great. Listen, it's storm season. There was a huge thunderstorm last night here in Oklahoma. Huge. Don't know. Was there hail? Not sure. Honestly, just woke up. Got to check it out. If there was, though, maybe the roof of your house got damaged. Maybe your car got damaged. Do you trust the person who is now in charge of handling all of that? Because if you don't, you better give Drew or Aaron a call. You can call Drew 405-478-7714, Aaron at 405-773-5500. These are guys you can trust, great guys, and they work for an incredible company that was rated number 1 for customer satisfaction by J.D. Power 6 out of the last 7 years. Give them a call or text today. All right, Michele. I was trying to talk about this game yesterday. Maybe I was avoiding it. I don't know. That was a terrible game. They lost 143 to 101. When I think about it, it's like, man, I can't believe they scored 101 points. Like who did that?
Dylan Jones and Usman Jang apparently did that. They had 12 points combined. It's or more. Yeah. It's so disturbing to me. Like the fact that Shea was almost beaten in terms of points scored by Usman Jang and Dylan Jones together.
Yeah,
I mean, that is how bad the things were for OKC in Game 3. I'm not entirely sure if I prefer like a game that is competitive and lost, or a game like this, or semi-competitive and lost, like the game in 1 and 2 for Mini, or this complete disaster from which you can draw basically no conclusions at all. Out of the fact that you can check that this can happen to OKC, and that's it. So, I mean, it was bad. It was bad the fact that they went down, bad the fact that they couldn't get up to the challenge and make it a close game. Again, I'm not sure that would have mattered, to be honest, because like Mini was scoring like crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit sad that we didn't see at least like making it like a 10-point game at some point. Yeah. Climb a little bit back, show something. early. I mean, not late in the fourth. I'm not really interested in that. But you know,
yeah, the Thunder like to use the phrase that they got punched, or that the other team threw the first punch. You know, that's a phrase that they like to use. And it's funny because the Thunder got punched and they never got up. They just kept getting punched in the face. You know, it's there's several movies. I'm grasping for an example where the bully gets punched and then it's just on the ground. Maybe A Christmas Story. You seen A Christmas Story where the bully gets punched and then it's just on the ground and just gets wailed on by this guy who's been just bullied by him for so long. Kind of felt like that. And especially I thought it was telling when Terrence Shannon Jr. checked in the game, because their game plan was, hey, we're going to kind of do what we've been doing, but harder and more is kind of what it felt like. And Terrence Shannon is kind of the epitome of that, because his game is aggressive. If it's channeled in the right way, it's awesome. If it's not channeled in the right way, it's a disaster. And everything just seemed to work for the Wolves. The Thunder started off 4-0. Those 2 Isaiah Hartenstein buckets. And you thought, oh, okay, like they're starting off great. That was like, I think the first 2 minutes.
yes,
They had 4 points. Then from the 10:43 mark to the end of the quarter, they scored 10 more points. It's a total of 14 points. And the Wolves went on a 34-10 run for the rest of the first quarter. And that was the punch they landed. And then the Thunder did not really punch back. The game was pretty much over at that point. And so it was certainly frustrating as a Thunder fan. I thought the Thunder would lose game 3. Like, you just think about how these series ebb and flow. Rarely does a Western Conference Finals become a sweep. We even seen that in the Conference Finals. It was hard for it was really hard for the Pacers to close that game against the Kings. It's just hard to sweep a team. It's hard to go up 3-0 on a team.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen in either conference. It was a little bit more obvious that it wasn't going to happen in Minnesota than it was in Indianapolis. But, part of me wonders, this isn't the most terrible thing to happen to the Thunder, because they know they have to play a lot better. There's no question that they have to go back to the drawing board. They got to make some minor adjustments, but the biggest adjustment they need to make is you got to show up. You're not just going to beat this team. This team isn't just going to roll over and die. You have to beat them the way you beat them in games 1 and game 2, where you threw the first punch and you kept punching and you had more energy and effort than they did. That's how you won those games. These games should be a dogfight. They really should be. If both teams play like that, it should be a dogfight. So far in this series, it's been one team that plays like that. It was the Thunder in games 1 and 2, and it was the Wolves in game 3. And so now it's okay, can both teams play like this? Can both teams bring the energy? Can both teams care that much defensively? Because if that's the case, then we're going to have some really good games. And I expect tonight, or we're recording this Monday morning, I expect tonight to be a very good basketball game.
Yeah, I sure hope so, because on top of the fact that they lost, that was one of the worst game to watch since Kalazakis was playing for OKC. I think that that qualifies as how bad it was. I really think that one of the points that OKC hopefully can put together is a decent shooting game. It's, I don't know what's your take on this, but mathematically wise, it's unthinkable what is happening to OKC. I mean, yes, the playoffs are different, a different beast in terms of energy, and everybody would say to you, hey, if you shoot if you have a 38% from 3 as a team in the regular season, then don't expect to be like that in the playoffs. but the drop that they have, it's really wide. It's not sustainable. I mean, it is because they have literally one of the best defenses of all time, but it makes it so hard. Like you can't keep shooting on the road 20% or less from three. It's not a product of the quality of the shots that they are taking. I think it's a little bit of a product of the rhythm, which it's difficult to quantify, but you can see when they are sound and they are not. And when they are not sound, you can clearly see shots going off. I'm not sure if a change of lineup is what can boost them. I was talking with John Hamm yesterday for the Dream Team show, and I said, "Well, will you change the starting lineup?" I said, "Absolutely not. I don't think that OKC is losing the game because they are playing two big men. I think that they are losing the game because on top of playing two big men, they have literally no shooting on the court, and that is Shea, it's J-Dub, and it's also Lu Dort. Which I mean, in some of the games against Denver, we discussed, hey, if he's not shutting down Murray and he's shooting like this, then it's really difficult to play him for long stretches because he's not really giving you what you need. And game 3 was a little bit of that. I'm not saying that OKC lost because of Lu Dort. This is not what I want to say. But I think that the guard rotation and the spacing that the guards have to provide is crucial for OKC. They cannot allow themselves to have like more than one guy that is not stopping the other guy on offense and on defense, and also not producing spacing on offense, because this is what they need. Not that Isaiah Joe went a ton better, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what to do with it either, because I've asked Mark about it, because I think one thing that the Thunder really, like, the one thing they really look at and like use as a barometer is just shot quality. Like they have shot quality stats that they like to use, and they use it to not make emotional decisions, you know. And if they like the shots that they got, then they're not going to change a whole lot. I don't know how much of this game they'll use. I guess they're like, oh my gosh, we got to change something. Sometimes the more desperate team wins the basketball game. And the team that doesn't have the pressure on them to win, like the Thunder didn't have pressure on them. They're up 2-0 on them. They didn't have the pressure to show up. And they certainly didn't show up.
Yeah.
But the more desperate team won, the team that had to win. I mean, you cannot go down 3-0 to this Thunder team and think you have a chance in the series. And they didn't. And I thought that would be the outcome. I was not surprised by the outcome. I was a little bit surprised by the amount. There is a stat floating around, and I love Law Murray. Law Murray's great. I think he's very good at what he does. I think no team has ever won the title after losing by 40 is a misleading stat because
for sure.
Because last season in the finals, the Celtics lost by 38 to the Mavericks. So I'm not. There's really not much I will take from that stat. It is true.
Yeah,
it is true. But I just don't think there's a lot to take away from that. Now they were playing again. This was a desperate Mavericks team that did happen to go down 3-0 to the Boston Celtics. And they were at home, and they just blew the doors off of them in Game 4. And then the Celtics came back in Game 5 and just dismantled them 106-88. So it wasn't like Dallas figured something out. I feel like Dallas's back was against the wall, and they just put it on them, and they couldn't do much. And so it's just interesting. Like people just probably took that a little bit too far. I don't think Law meant anything by it. I think he was just like, hey, this is actually something that I found. However, like, is there a real difference in losing by 40 and losing by 38? Like, if one of the Wolves players missed a shot in the fourth quarter, are we now like, oh my gosh, now we have hope? Like,
it's
kind of a silly thing. I don't think he meant like the Thunder can't win now. I just think he's just saying that like this is just something that's never happened before.
Yeah, I apologize for the sounds, the background sounds. There are crows, helicopters, bikes, motorbikes. It is, but at least I'm not like in the complete sun, so it's
Hey,
it's
listen, you
fresh.
wouldn't be getting a podcast with Michele and I in any other way today. So this is what you
Yeah,
get. You know what?
exactly.
This is what we all deserve after watching that ridiculous game.
Anyhow, I think that our brain is tuned to search confirmation bias anywhere. So if you see someone tweeting, "Hey, this never happened," it means that you immediately think that there is causation or correlation between two things.
Right.
You can explain like this mathematically in many ways. The variance that is there in the modern basketball was not there for at least like half a century. It's, I mean, what we are seeing now with the 3-point shooting, and especially over the past 5 years, it's getting a lot more variance in in any game. What you said about Boston, it's just an example. 38 and 40, 42, 40, 40, whatever. It's basically the same number in terms of basketball. It's if you take like all the games combined and those two numbers are exactly the same. So A, mathematically, it already happened. It happened last year, and B, it's a byproduct of how the game is played, how much variance there is, how big the runs are for either teams, and also the fact that this run happened very early. Uh, it was a very big run, not a run that either team felt comfortable trying to climb back. And so OKC, after 2 minutes or 3 minutes in the third quarter, where they tried to get a punch, they said, "Okay, let's punt the game." Probably in a different era of basketball, this doesn't happen because you don't have such a run made by tough defense, sure, but also incredible shooting for the Wolves early on, and terrible shooting early on for the Thunder. So I think that if you want to describe a series numerically, that is a data point. It's a fun data point, and I think that this is what although Maury was trying to convey. Hey, this is something very weird. It's not something where you can say, "Oh, this happened, so this thing will not happen." And if you want to find good numbers, you can try to see, oh, how different the T Wolves scored from game 1 to game 3. Is that something that you can chuck up as variance, or is there something that OKC did in game 1 and 2 and did not in game 3? Or is it something that the Wolves did in game 3 that they didn't do in game 1 and 2? And that to me is the most interesting question. And you can go back and watch the first triple that Anthony Edwards took and made. Was after 2.5 screens, 2.5 because one was I think was like a semi screen by one of the guys, probably Conley. But that thing in game 1 and 2 was not there. They really worked to free up the shooters early on. And I think that OKC did like a so-and-so job in terms of deciding whether they could force the screen with Lou Dort or just switch it and switch it quickly. I think that Minnesota worked a lot on how to make the great OKC point of attack defense a little bit less great. And on top of that, they had incredible shooting. So these things, these numbers, like to explain how to go from 25 to 50 in a game in a span of like 2 days, I think it's way more interesting than discussing or projecting something based on something that happened clearly, that never happened again clearly, but that mathematically it's basically it happened. And it happened especially if you put in pace and variance. It happened a lot in the past, just not with the same numbers, but also how many games in the past playoffs were with like 43s and 143 points scored. Not many.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a great way to explain it because I just wouldn't do a whole lot with that stat. It doesn't mean like for sure. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying like for sure the Thunder are winning the title this year. I think, with who is left, they should win the title, but it doesn't mean that they will. And so, but yeah,
and it would not because they lost by 42.
No,
if they
they're
don't.
not going to be like the Thunder win, game 6 of the NBA Finals. Will be like, you know what? it was really cool that you guys won Game 6, but the fact that you guys lost by 42 in Minnesota, we cannot give you the trophy. We just can't do it. It's never happened before. No. One moment where I knew the game was over was 5 minutes left in the second quarter. They subbed in AJ Mitchell, and God bless him. That was not the move that was going to change anything, but it sure felt like, you know what? And maybe this is wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong about this, but this is just my sense was that, hey, you know what? We're not going to show you any major adjustments in this one. I think that they have adjustments in their back pocket. I think that they saw what the score was when AJ checked in the game. It was 29-56. And I don't think they were like, okay, this is what's going to turn everything around. I think that Mark maybe thought like, okay, maybe this could do something. You know, I'm just going to throw him out there and see what happens. But we're talking about a rookie who got hurt and hasn't really caught rhythm since injury. Yeah. And I think that he was trying something, but it also just kind of screamed like, hey, let's get AJ some experience out there. And this game's over. Like this game is over. And we are not going to make major adjustments. We're not going to like make this like big, press to try to like get in the game. I think they tried to in some ways after this moment. I'm not trying to say like they threw the game after this, but this kind of just screamed to me like, hey, let me just throw some stuff at the wall, see if we can catch anything, moving forward. And they didn't. And I think it's okay because I do think that there could be like this weird, like this could end up being good for OKC. And in one, they got embarrassed. And like when you get embarrassed as a human being, you respond, like you will always respond when you get embarrassed.
May respond. You don't always, but you should. Yes.
You don't always respond when you get embarrassed.
I try.
Yeah. Especially like when given time, like in the moment, like I don't think they responded, but like given time to like think about it and to stew on it. And you're given a chance to come back better, like you should respond. And that's the kind of team that this is too. Like we know that's like in the DNA of this team to respond. They don't lose multiple games in a row.
That is a stat that I'm really curious. This is probably the thing that I'm most curious about, because if something happens so many times, like they didn't lose 2 games in a row when either Holmgren or Hartenstein, please, Stein, anyhow, were on the roster available to play. They never lost 2 in a row. And this to me speaks of what you just said, the ability to adjust, the ability to come back, to play really with a 0-0 mentality, but also with, hey, we're not losing 2 in a row. It's probably the hardest test that they ever faced so far. I'm not sure what will happen if they have another round or not, but so far it's the hardest test because Mini is a team that can go on big runs. They can have multiple games where they shoot lights out. And so tonight, I fully expect Mini to be a good Mini team. And if they beat them, if they lose, it doesn't mean that they will lose the series. I don't think that what happens in these first 4 games will decide necessarily the series. If they go up 3-1, then OKC has a real shot. But if they don't, I would not count them out. But I'm really, really curious because that is something where you have a lot of numbers to back up the fact that they don't go in like multiple game skids like other teams do. They really come back. They really are adept to adjust, be aggressive on after a bad loss. So I'm really curious to see what happened tonight.
Yeah, I think they're going to play really well tonight. That's my expectation, is that they'll play well tonight. You think about in March, they lost to Denver, 140-127. That second game that was at home, against Denver, and they had to fly to Boston to play, and they show up and beat Boston.
Yeah.
Like when you think about these like losses that they've had, and they lost to Minnesota in that overtime game, and they had to go on the road, and they went and beat Brooklyn. I remember that Brooklyn game kind of being a mess, but they showed up and they won.
I remember the Boston game to be an insane defensive game by them, which is what I want to see tonight. I mean, I'm more interested in that more so than the result is clearly important, but can they be the swarming, amazing defense for 48 minutes and just make it super duper hard on the Wolves? Just making them question their game plan, make like them changing the way they are approaching the game, make them like solely a team that takes threes and not many things. So I really wonder if they can pull off like a show defensively, because that is something that they can control. And the shooting, well, it's less controllable. The shot quality, yes, it is, but the defense is, I think, completely controllable.
Yeah, that's I think it's a good example of them really. I mean, they didn't really show up very well against Denver in that game.
Yeah,
and then really did in Boston and just kind of flew around, and they were kind of their crazy selves again. And that's kind of the expectation from me, because we've seen it just over and over again. And this is the playoffs. You can't not show up in consecutive games. It would be shocking.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in this chair talking to Alex on Wednesday, and we're talking about the Thunder not showing up again and like getting ready for game 5 and not sure who's going to show up in game 5. It would be shocking to see. And like the guys talked about it afterwards. I think it was Chet that said, like, we just have a group of guys that just really care about this. Like, we just all really, really care about this. Like, it's like, okay, whatever. Of course you care about it. This is the Western Conference Finals. You should care about it. But like, I think I took that as like, they are not going to take this lightly. Like, I think they all took it pretty personally and are going to show up and play better. And they absolutely should. Like, this is a game where you look at just up and down the starting lineup. Shea is 4 of 13. Dub was 3 of 9. Chet was 3 of 7. Dort was 2 of 4. iHeart was 3 of 6. Like, they didn't play well. And then like you have a guy like Casey Wallace who's had a really great, playoff run. Didn't even take a shot in his 16 minutes.
That was weird. The turnovers were extremely weird.
Oh, we got to talk about the turnovers. Hey, let's take a quick break. And we come back. We're going to talk about turnovers. Stay tuned, because we're going to talk about your favorite thing, the Thunder turning the basketball over. We'll be right back. And we're back after that quick break. Before we talk about turnovers, I want to talk about something that listen, do you care about your health at all? If you do, you should be seeing a dentist. And the dentist you should be seeing is Dr. Phil and Brennan Ring at Ring Family Dentistry. They take a straightforward and honest approach to dental care. And they believe in keeping what's healthy, fixing what's not, and only replacing what truly needs it. There's no pressure. There's no upselling, just clear explanations, thoughtful recommendations, and decisions that are always up to you. Ring Family Dentistry is truly a family practice with a laid-back vibe, modern tech, and high-quality work. They have same-day crowns. Does your dentist have that? Bet you they don't, because this is pretty impressive. Like, they have a very impressive practice. They help my in-laws a ton with these same-day crowns. They have implants, bridges, root canals, clear aligner therapy, all offered in-house. All of it in-house, which is very, very cool. Get an appointment today, 405-621-1555, or you can make an appointment online, ringfamilydentistry.com. They're Thunder fans, so if you want to go into your dentist office and talk to people about the Thunder, this is a place you can do that, because they support the Thunder and they support Down to Dunk. Go check out Ring Family Dentistry today. Michele, the turnovers. Oh my gosh. They have 7 in the first quarter, 6 in the first quarter.
I have no idea because my complete attention is now turned on the Vlade Divac mug that you have back there that I just noticed, and I cannot watch or think about anything else than that.
It's pretty great.
Sorry.
It's a pretty great mug. I'm gonna look up just to torture myself and to torture you as you listen to this. How many turnovers they had in the first quarter? Because it was alarming. It was alarming. They have 8.
I think so.
NBA.com says 5.
Okay, then I must have. It was maybe 8 in the first half.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that stat.
No, it was more.
Yeah, it was shocking how they just didn't take care of the ball and how Ant was just like, wait, he's on the break again. He's just scoring without anybody, around him again. Shea's getting ripped by Rudy Gobert. What is happening? How's this? What is going on here?
I think that the Wolves tried to
turnovers confirmed. I'm like looking at tracking data too, and I'm like, okay, yeah,
but 5 in a quarter. It's still a number that it's obscene for OKC. And I think that
6 in one game.
Yeah. And it's also about where and when. I mean, those were turnovers that led to immediate points, probably all of them. And I think that the Wolves tried to read a recipe from the Thunder cookbook, and they were successful in applying that. Just smash the ball, take arms and ball, and the more the more you do, the more in an energetic way you do it, the less fouls you're getting called. So I really think that OKC was caught by surprise by that physicality that was not there. It was also, and I think this is crucial, and in the way that OKC will attack going forward, is that they decided to finally play up instead of playing down and wait. I mean, if you look at the pick and roll coverage in game 1 and 2, it was just so bad. Rudy was stationary, like behind the basket. Instead, they decided, well, we will stay with Shea's men a little bit far back because we need to shield the drive more so than the 3-point shot. And also having the other guy up so that the defensive lines are tight, are not like very spread. And in this way, you give away threes if the other team wants to take them, but you limit the amount of mid-rangers, clean mid-rangers. And this is exactly the Denver recipe, where you had Jokic in the middle, a little bit high, occupying a gazillion amount of space because he's gigantic, and having like the lines a little bit more tighter, allowing Shea to take as many threes as he wants off the dribble. Because if you guard him a little bit far back, then he can take that three. But this is the choice that Minnesota made, and it's a good choice. How do you beat that? Thank God I'm not a coach. I would use the dunker spot a little bit more. I would clearly try to ignite the 3-point shooting and take a bit of the threes that are there, because this is how you beat a defense that stay high. Backdoor cuts, and also like try to get Mike Conley to guard you somehow. Just run a few screens and try to have Dub or Shea going 1-on-1 and not allowing Conley to be just a post-up defender against Chet, because that is not a sustainable way to destroy Minnesota's defense. The way in which you destroy that is by putting Conley in as many pick and rolls as you can.
Yeah, go hunt him.
Yeah.
You did it in games 1 and 2. You specifically did it in game 2 a ton. Like, go do that again. Yeah. In the first half, Shea had, 4 turnovers that led to 11 points.
Yeah.
I mean, that is very, very bad. Very, very bad.
It's almost all threes. 3 threes and 1 2-pointer.
It's a disaster. Actually, that may not be, the points may not be accurate. Hold on. Yeah, the four turnovers, I think he created 11 points. That's my fault. Himself in the first half. But the turnovers were just outrageous. In the first half alone, they had 9 turnovers to 7 assists. They had 3 were bad pass turnovers. I mean, just embarrassing, honestly. And I think it's good for them to feel embarrassed. I think it's good for them to have that feeling and to have a quick turnaround. And this is a place where they can, change that. And I think they will. I think they're going to play a lot better. They've got another like thundery phrase is like playing with force. And they use that term a lot. Like they need to throw the first punch, thunder phrase. They need to play with force, thunder phrase. We need to see that. We need to see them play better. And I think they will. I think they're going to play better tonight. I'd be shocked if they didn't play well. Does it mean they'll win? No. But I do think that we will see a Thunder team that will play a lot better. And I just wonder with this Minnesota team, like they are a pretty emotional bunch. I think that Chris Finch coaches from his gut more than he does analytically. He's
in game, yes.
He's kind of the antithesis of Mark in a lot of ways. And I've even heard like Minnesota people say that like Finch would never coach like Mark does, where like analytics are such a huge piece of what they do. And it's not like Finch doesn't use analytics at all, but like if I've heard people in Minnesota like kind of like make the comp like the Thunder are like a machine, and like Mark coaches kind of like a machine, and Finch just kind of is like more emotional and like more like coaches with what he believes is right. Kind of that. And so I just wonder if emotionally they come out of that game thinking, all right, we got him. Figured it out. We got him. And the Thunder, I think, will come back and they will play really hard tonight. And so I just wonder what that looks like. And maybe Minnesota's like, no, we got to play like that again. We don't play that again. I don't know how, but I hope to me this is kind of setting up for a Thunder win or for like all where like both teams are just playing super hard and it comes down to like execution and shot making, similar to some games they played against Denver. So I kind of think that we'll see a great game.
Yeah, I mean, this is. I really hope that this is what we get, because in some sense, suppose that they go out and they win like 4 games, like they won game 1 and 2, it would be, oh yeah, I mean, Minnesota just beat themselves. It's OKC great, but instead having a game where Minnesota clearly showed, hey, we can win this series. I'm not sure that they will, but we can. Because, I mean, they show that they can limit OKC's best player. They can generate 40 very good threes, and they bullied OKC defensively. So I really think that this is it should be. I mean, it should be great for the NBA to see like 2 teams like that playing and having, to be honest, in both conferences, series that are not going as anticipated. Something weird is happening. I mean, the Neesmith thing, it's super weird. I didn't watch the game tonight because I woke up too late and couldn't watch, so I will probably get to that tonight. But it's a great series, and again, I think that if OKC comes up on the right side of this conference finals, they would have earned this the finals appearance. Because I mean, they faced a championship level team with some injury, yes, and they are facing a very good team that showed in game 3 why they can be for the second year in a row a contender for the finals.
Yeah, looking forward to watching it. Thunder play tonight in Minnesota before coming back for game 5 on Wednesday. So enjoy the game. We'll have coverage here on Down to Dunk for you throughout the series. Be sure to tell your friends about it. If you're just listening on the podcast app, we would love to have you tune in on YouTube with us. If you're watching on YouTube right now, which you have a ton of people watching, if you will hit the like button, leave a comment on the actual video, we'd appreciate that quite a bit. Happy Memorial Day to everybody. Thanks to all the men and women of the U.S. military. We appreciate you guys tremendously, and hope that you feel honored today. Hope that everybody has a good day off. Get refreshed. Get ready to watch this game. We'll be watching along with you, and looking forward to talking about it after the game. So really appreciate you guys listening, and we will talk to you guys again on Wednesday.